Hi, my name is Kim Kent, and this is my poetry project. The poem I chose for my project is The Last Time by Rachel McKibben. Her poems are written from the viewpoint of a survivor of physical and sexual abuse. The poem I chose is The Last Time. This was published as part of her first book, Pink Elephant. Her past is clearly reflected in her poetry. This poem specifically discusses the abuse she and her brother obtained at the hands of her father. She is an advocate for domestic and sexual assault victims. She spent 4 years at Bellevue Hospital teaching through their Healing Arts program. The themes of her poem reflect abuse, assault, and being a survivor, themes that are often swept under the rug. She is a 9-time Poetry Slam member, a coach for the New York Louder Arts, a 2009 Woman of the World Poetry Slam champion, and the 2011 National Underground Poetry Slam individual champion. I'm going to read for you now The Last Time by Rachel McKibben. I did it alone, without leaving. The welt on my face, still hot, I crept downstairs, pried open the toolbox and grabbed the hammer, and his initials burned deep into the handle. Upstairs, my brother slept. In his room, a glass box of reptiles watching over him. I turned the knob slowly and stood over my father's body, his chest heaving, then sinking. When his tongue rattled, then stopped, and the whites of his eyes rolled over, and he stared only at the weapon in my hand. And I looked at him and said, "If you ever touch us again, I will kill you." And then he saw me. "Okay," he said, "okay." The Last Time was about taking control over the physical abuse she and her brother suffered at the hands of her father. When first reading the poem, and with the title of the poem, I assumed domestic violence. The welt on my face, still hot, I crept downstairs, lines 3 through 4. I continued to feel that the poem was about domestic violence until the stanza, upstairs, my brother slept, in his room, a glass box of reptiles watching over him, lines 9 through 11. That's when I realized the poem was about child abuse. You can feel the brother's innocence in those lines, and that he was younger, and she needs to protect him. The reptiles watching over him shows to me that he is younger. In the third stanza, the author's moves are very thought out, very calculated. This was a premeditated action. Still hot, I crept downstairs, pried open the toolbox, and grabbed the hammer, lines 4 through 6. She could have stopped herself at any point from taking this further, but she didn't. She needed to regain control. The entire poem is a depiction of a protector and a fighter. She was not going to allow any more harm to come to her or her brother. The first 2 lines of the poem are an accurate portrayal of the ending, almost a foreshadowing. I did it alone, without leaving, lines 1 through 2. She threatened him herself. No one else was involved, and she didn't have to leave. Reading through the poem felt more like a story that needed to be told. Her imagery, using words like crept, pried, burned, the knob turning slowly. I could envision all of this as I read through the poem. While the poem has no rhyme scheme and was mostly free verse, the tone of the poem was serene. Even after all she went through, she was methodic, almost calm in her actions. This quatrain specifically, I turned the knob slowly and stood over my father's body, his chest heaving, then sinking. When his tongue rattled, then stopped. Lines 12 through 15. There was no trembling as she stood over her father, or as she opened the toolbox to get the hammer. Her use of onomatopoeia when describing his tongue rattling was perfectly placed. It is said that McKibben's book that this poem was published in, Pink Elephant, has been a guidebook for those who have survived abuse. I can understand how that is possible her writing can give her readers strength. Thank you.